again, back in the bag again. Whoa, whoa, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Steve Hartman, and today's episode is all focused on round 3, Timberwolves Nuggets, Minnesota Denver, first round, Western Conference playoffs. Should be an outstanding series. All the ESPN pundits picking the Nuggets, but there are some Wolves love to be had and to be found. We'll break it all down today with Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage and Hitting the Hardwood Missing Wolves podcast. After tomorrow's game, you can go to Hitting the Hardwood or Missing Wolves podcast on YouTube and join the conversation. If you are enjoying the podcast, please give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, subscribe on YouTube, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Love to hear your feedback, comments, and get you involved, but appreciate you all listening. And with that, let's talk to Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage. All right, it's volume 3 of the Timberwolves Nuggets playoff rivalry. Kicks off this weekend. Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, kind enough to join me today to break it all down. Andrew, it's great to see you as always.
Out of me, and I mean, this is the third WrestleMania, right? Like that's kind of how I think of this type of stuff. WrestleMania is this weekend. This is the rubber match. Tied 1-1. I guess we'll figure out what iteration is better.
Yeah, it's not quite Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, but it's nice to have a little bit of a rivalry. I feel like the Timberwolves have always kind of been without a key rival, and the Nuggets have kind of filled that void, I guess, the last few years. So should be a great series. There's lots to talk about. Obviously, there's some familiarity, especially with fans, but as someone who's been around the team, do you feel like they care that they played them a couple years ago? Because obviously the rosters have changed a little bit. Does that matter how the results have shaped the last 2 times they met in the playoffs?
The main guys, yes. Like Rudy definitely cares. Like I think Rudy is ready to kind of put this Jokic stuff to bed and kind of prove that he is a Jokic stopper. I don't know. There's been a lot going on social media of like Rudy has the most wins against Jokic, and it's like, yeah, but he's also played him the most. So I know Rudy's ready to go. It matters to him. Ant, Jaden, and Nas, obviously, like this matters to them. This is kind of their kind of core rival throughout their career. I mean, guys like Julius, Donte, Ayo, Bones, obviously they haven't been around for all of them, but I was talking to Ayo yesterday and he was sitting there saying like, he remembers watching that game 7 2 years ago from his couch and is like excited to be in a rivalry matchup like this.
All right, so there is some familiarity with the two teams. Obviously the fans and the media probably more so even than some of the players, but as far as like, Donte and Julius being new, Ayo being new, Bones wasn't here for those playoff games before. How much do you think that matters to them? The main guys maybe versus some of these other guys that are newer to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the main guys, like you got your Rudy Gobert's, like this matters to him. All the stuff on social media going around of him being a Jokic stopper, I think has. He wants to kind of prove that right. It's kind of a legacy thing for him if he's able to win the rubber match. Jaden, Nas, Ant obviously means a ton to them. Like this has been their main rival throughout their career. So I think they come into this really wanting to kind of knock them down and also for their season, right? Like this has been such a weird season. I think if they can go out and knock the Nuggets off, like there's some vindication to that. I mean, Julius and Donte, I think they've been through enough playoff battles where it's like they're kind of just like another day at the office. We got to turn this one on. Time to knock a team out of the playoffs. Interesting though, like Ayo and Bones both seem pretty gassed. I mean, Bones talked quite a bit this week of like how much it sucked to not be in the playoff rotation last year and having to watch it. And then Ayo, I talked to yesterday and asked him kind of this exact question. Ayo is just like, I remember sitting on my couch watching this series 2 years ago, and like, I'm super pumped to be in this one now. And the Nuggets don't have a ton of scouting on me, so hopefully I'm a big player in this. So I think it varies, but for the most part, like this is a team that kind of all together, everyone's on the same message of like, it's go time. Like we it's go time.
Mhm.
We got to figure it out, and we got to knock this team off.
Yeah, it's, all season, and I think you've mentioned it about how they just have this like confidence, whether it's earned or not, they just kind of have it. But I think that's the takeaway, that their core did this 2 years ago, right? And beat them. So they have the belief already. I think I've talked to a lot of, friends, fans, and we can beat this team. Like, that's the bottom line. Whether you feel like they're likely to, or, Vegas doesn't think they're likely to, but I think the belief is that we've seen it, we've done it. This group has done it when they were younger. And so, for Nas, Jaden, and Ant to be 2 years older, hopefully they've learned something. But I think the confidence piece that this team plays with at times, is probably I don't know, in my opinion, the biggest thing that happened in 2 years ago, and how they can take that into this year.
Absolutely. And like that's what this team is, confident. Like they love being underdogs. Like Rudy talks about it pretty
Right.
often, of this team just really, it's a lot of underdogs. Rudy kind of came from nothing, made it to where he is. Jaden, kind of had to scrap and claw. Ant scrapped and clawed. Julius is just a kid from Dallas. Like everyone on this team kind of, overcame odds to get to where they are, personally and professionally. So they love that. And then they also, like, I had Rudy kind of agreed with me earlier this week, of like, they sometimes just, it has to get to a point where they just have to do it, like, the hardest possible way. And so not only are they confident they can beat Denver, I think this team is like very confident that it's just, all right, now we're going to start playing the best defense in the league, and we're going to go on a title run, which thankfully in sports we get answers. I mean, there's not a lot of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Like if they win, they win, and if they lose, they lose, and we'll go from there. But everyone in that locker room thinks this is a title run waiting to happen. So I guess we'll find out.
Right. And like last year, things kind of fell into place. They were also a 6 seed, and they win their first round against the Lakers, and then Steph Curry, and kind of walk into the conference finals. This year looks to be a little bit more formidable, I would say. I've been saying all year since the season started that I thought Denver was the second best team in the league. I'm more afraid of them than I am the Spurs, to be honest, as good as the Spurs are and as crazy as Wemby is, just from an experience standpoint. So this is going to be, a tough test for sure for the Wolves. You brought up Rudy earlier, and kind of the social media talk about him guarding Jokic and all that stuff. I threw it out the other day that this feels to me kind of like I don't know, legacy series for Rudy. Not to say that he's going to hold Joker to 16 and 8 and 4. Like, that's just not going to happen. But to me, this is kind of the moment where, like, you've been ripped on by Shaq and Draymond for years. If you show up and you slow him down, or at least get his shooting percentage down, or limit him in some way, that's going to be a huge win, and kind of like this guy did what very few people have ever done over a course of a series. Do you get any sense that, I mean, you kind of mentioned Rudy talking about this matchup, but like, I'm sure he doesn't think of it this way, but that's my perception of this series for him specifically.
Yeah, Rudy's a very big, like, wins and losses guy, right? Like, I think at the end of the season, when all the defensive metrics come out, obviously, like, Rudy takes a ton of pride in being like fifth in active rebounds, and like his on-off stuff. Like, he does care about that because he's just a very prideful guy. I think the stuff he cares the most about, though, is just winning. So for him, I mean, let's be honest. Jokic is probably going to cook anyone on this roster, whether it's Rudy, whether it's Julius, whether it's Jaden. Jokic is going to get 30, 15, and 12 every game, probably. And there's not a ton you can do. But for Rudy, it's like, yeah, I might have a bad series, but if we win it, who cares? Like, if we win it, I have taken Jokic down twice in the playoffs, which is more than anyone else can really say. And I think that's truly what he cares about. And honestly, like, these guys have so much history now that, I mean, you think back to the Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell series from, I think it was the bubble and the pandemic, where Rudy and Jokic were going at it before they were kind of peak of their powers, Rudy and Jokic. And like, I think the winning the series thing is what he'll put his hat on. It's going to be tough for Rudy, though. Like, this series is going to be a tough one for him. Aaron Gordon's now a 40% three-point shooter. Cam Johnson's shooting 40% from three. Christian Brown is shooting like 35, but he's so good at like getting the ball and just attacking. There is no one to let Rudy roam on. So it's either going to be throw him on Jokic and hope for the best, or it's going to be someone's getting wide open threes. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of like what Utah did against the Clippers in that Terrence Mann series, where like Terrence Mann had like 30 something one game because Rudy was just having to double someone and like lurching out to get him. And it might be that type of series if they choose to have Rudy help out and double or put him off ball. But again, I think if they win the series, this goes down as a huge legacy thing for Rudy. And if they lose it, Rudy's probably going to be the guy that a lot of fingers get pointed on as like, you can't have this guy in a playoff run, which is incredibly unfair, but also just the reality of Rudy Gobert at this point in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think this matchup is so interesting. Like, just the Jokic, like how they guard him in general. You know, because there's been kind of two avenues, right? There's, you know, try to slow him down, force other guys to beat you. And then there's let's just let him get 50 and let nobody else really go off. Maybe Murray has 20. And then you got to hope that the other 6 guys don't score 60 points. I feel like that's where, when Rudy's on the floor, that's the philosophy they almost have to take, is just try to guard him one-on-one, let him play his drop and just hope for the best. And when he's off the floor, then I think there'll be a lot more active switching. You know, I think I've heard talk about like Kyle Anderson being big in this series, which I think is really interesting because he has some ability to guard Jokic, again, not perfectly, but as well as some others. So I think the matchups and how Finch goes about this is going to be a really interesting idea. Because like you said, 2 years ago, Rudy roamed. Gordon wasn't shooting that well from three, but they are deeper with more shooting, which is why from the beginning, this team is just tougher than they have been the last couple of years. So I don't think you can just not guard one of these guys other than, like you said, Christian Brown. So what do you think we'll see from, at least in game one? Obviously changes happen game to game in the playoffs, but like game one, do you have any sense of like what kind of defensive philosophy they're going to take on the Nuggets? Is it going to be load up on Joker, or is it going to be don't let him spray it around and get his 15 assists?
Normally I'd say it's just throw Rudy on him and let Joker do what Jokic is going to do. It's weird with this week off though, because again, Finch has kind of talked about it quite a bit of like it feels like it's a football game that he's coaching, because you can completely change your game plan. He's talking about how like Pablo and Micah and Elston and Kevin have come up with like individual like multi-page scouting reports for each player and each matchup, and like I think we're going to see some weird stuff in this first game just to see what works. I know they've kind of talked about it a little bit this week, that they have 5 or 6 different things they feel pretty comfortable throwing at them. And I think it's going to be just first half of this game, let's throw whatever we can at them, see what sticks. And then second half of the game, let's hone in on what's stuck. And then, you know, you get a day off to prepare for game 2, you get 3 days off to prepare for game 3, like then we'll hone in a little bit more. So I think it's going to be a lot of chaos. I think it's going to be Rudy on Gobert or Rudy on Jokic. I think it's going to be some Kyle on Jokic. I think it's going to be some Jaden kind of being in that like weak side help stuff off of Brown on Jokic. I mean, Dane floated out maybe doing like some ants on Jokic like the OKC did with Caruso last year. I think they are going to throw everything at him in this first game and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I think Jokic is the biggest problem to solve in this series, but kind of to your point, if they can't figure it out, they can always just go back to Rudy. You're just one-on-one against Jokic. He's probably going to score 50, but no one else is. We're shutting the gasket off on everyone else, which I guess that's a good fallback plan for them. I think the other thing with this Nuggets team is they're built so much better for a Jokic like team, right? Like there is no other high ball dominant guys on the team other than Murray. Everyone that they play can shoot. Everyone that they can play kind of knows where to be on the floor. And the Wolves, I think, are built a little bit better than 2 years ago too. Like they just have options now. It's not just Cat, Rudy, Reed, and we have to pray that works. Like the Kyle stuff, I think is going to be really interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try and just go small and fast quite a bit too, with Jaden on at the 4 and like Rudy at the 5 or Randall at the 5 and just trying to outpace them. But it's going to be weird. I think this first game is going to be really weird.
Which I think might favor the Wolves just because, you get their hope. And I don't know that home court really matters in this series. These two teams play well on each other's home court, so it doesn't matter. But like, go get one, like get the first one, put some pressure on them. They're the favorites, go throw the kitchen sink at them and see if you can steal one. I think that would be, I agree on the pace too. Like you and I talked about, I think on the last time on your podcast about roster flexibility and now you can go with an Ayo and, Shannon, if he's got it going and you go small and you are going to boat race them. I think I don't think Denver, as good as they are in the half court execution, we're still a more athletic, faster team. The problem is they don't turn it over a ton. So your transition opportunities are going to be limited. But I think if they can get them out of some rhythm, that would be a huge, tip the scales in the Wolves' favor. I also want to talk about Murray a little bit because he's had his best season of his career, basically, offensively at least. And historically, everyone remembers the Kevin Harlan, Jaden got him in a straitjacket moment, right? But Na's gone. My question is, if you think Jaden starts on Murray or if they go more Ant, Donte, Ayo, because I feel like Jaden might be that roamer role now because he can go from tagging the roller to closing out, and he could still protect the rim on the backside if he moves. Do you see any change in how they guard Jamal Murray in this series?
I think you're right. I think Jaden in this series is going to be better suited as an off-ball guy that's just kind of wrecking havoc. Jaden's a very proud guy, so I think they probably start with just Jaden on Murray. And there's no Michael Porter Jr., so there's not really anyone else to worry about. I think pretty early after Murray kind of burns Jaden on a couple of those Jokic Murray pick and rolls that Jaden can't really get over, I think then it'll switch to Donte, Ayo, and Bones. Talked to Chris Finch about it earlier this week of just in the past you have Mike Conley, who is an all-world foul drawer on pick and rolls and also just has built a career off shooting gaps on pick and rolls. And you had Nikhil, who's his ability to get small and drag his foot through and stay in front of people was elite. And you don't really have that. And Finch kind of mentioned Donte, Ayo, and Bones in particular of Bones or Donte, really tough, fights through stuff. Ayo is able to get small, kind of skinny himself up to get in between. And Bones has the length that they really especially when blitzing screens or when they're kind of full court blitzing as well. I don't think it's going to be a ton of Ant on Murray. I think just realistically, it makes sense to put him on a Christian Brown and just maybe give him defenses off until Jaden kind of runs
Yeah.
his course. But if I had to guess, I think that's how it would go, is Jaden starts, and then after, I'm not going to say he fails, but after it gets a little sticky, a little weird, then it switches
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
trifecta of ball handlers.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Um, for some reason, I don't know, I was talking to somebody last night about it, and it just feels like Jaden's point of attack, on ball defense, I don't know if it's slipped or if it's just teams have kind of figured out how to use his length against him. But that's my one worry about him on Murray specifically. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll see multiple things like you said earlier, in terms of how they cover that pick and roll, because it is the NBA's best. Okay, so not to worry. We're all like, oh my God, how are we going to slow down the Nuggets? Number one offense for a reason. But there's also the other side of the ball. Nuggets have to guard Anthony Edwards, which they have not had a lot of success over the years. I think the expectation that Christian Brown will start on him. But what can the Nuggets do differently to try to slow down the Timberwolves? Because there's very little rim protection there, which has always been a problem for Ant and the Timberwolves. Is it just as simple as get by that first guy and we're attacking the rim? Or what do you think the Nuggets can do differently?
Not a lot.
Great.
I mean, Aaron Gordon's tried guarding end the pod. Aaron Gordon's tried guarding Ant before. That historically goes terribly. Cam Johnson's is, a little more size, but he's not at the level of like an Ant stopper. Christian Brown probably gets the assignment because of familiarity, but he's not an Ant stopper. And then you have, Jamal Murray and Jokic, who certainly aren't ever going to be put on Ants
Yep.
unless something went catastrophically wrong. So I think this is just going to be they need to double Ants the second he passes half court on every single possession, no matter what, always. They probably put Gordon on Julius, and I kind of think this is going to be a tough Julius series just because Gordon's such a good matchup for him. He's one of the few guys that's actually like strong enough to push
Yeah.
back. But then that leaves up Ayo, Donte,
Yep.
Jaden as all guys that are probably getting left for that double team on Ants. And that's not good for Denver. I honestly kind of think this has the potential to be like a really breakout type of playoff series for Jaden and Ayo. I mean, Ayo with his speed, if you're doubling off of Ayo to throw a second guy at Ant, and Ant reads that correctly and gets it to Ayo like that, it's just kind of that possession's
Mm-hmm.
over. I mean, Ayo's shown he's good enough in the mid range and at around the basket that it's just you can't do it. And Jaden this year has developed so much of that weird post like jumper drive game that you can't really double off of him
Mm-hmm.
either. Donte, we know what he can do from a shooting perspective. You can't really double off of him.
Yep.
And it kind of leaves the Nuggets in a horrible spot. Like, again, the Nuggets offense poses so many issues for the Wolves defense, but the Wolves offense poses just as many to the Nuggets. I really don't know what they can do if the Wolves are moving the ball. Like, honestly, it might be more of a let's play these guys straight up and hope that Randall and Ant go back into old habits than like an actual defensive philosophy to try and slow them down. Which is good news for the Wolves.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ant's scoring 40 and Jaden and Ayo are both putting in 20, it's hard to see the Nuggets winning this series.
Yeah. I think, we've talked about this, and I've seen this about, at post game, the Wolves talk about getting Rudy involved early, and then like things just kind of get going from there. Um, that's where and Io and Jaden are probably two of the guys that will throw the lob to Rudy more than others. So I agree. Like
We
if
can
they,
be honest, they're the only guys that pass the Rudy.
yeah,
They're like it. Kyle,
yeah,
Io, Jaden, end.
yeah. True. So, like to your point though, if Ant swings it and Io's downhill, lob to Rudy, Jaden gets to the paint. I mean, again, there's nobody on the back end to slow Rudy down if they go that route. So, I'm this could be like a 140 to 135 every game of this series. I'm sure it won't be that way just because adjustments are made. But yeah, I think Denver finished like 21st in defense, and so the Wolves are top 10 in both offense and defense. If I don't think you want to track me with Denver, that's why I think like if they can like create even a few turnovers and just force some tough shots, rebound, and they're gone. I do think the Wolves should have plenty of opportunities to score. Have you heard anything on Peyton Watson? I know he was the last I saw, he was maybe going to play game one, but do you know anything more?
There's a lot of doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
I think again, like Adam Mares came on Dane's pod yesterday and said that they're not even sure if he'll play the first couple games of the series. I've heard some of the other Denver
Okay.
people kind of talking about he's not looking, you know. The other part of it is like when you come back from like an injury, you need to be in shape to play playoff basketball, and he might be
Yeah.
like in shape to play a regular season game by Saturday, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it, which again, like that's one of
Yeah.
their kind of more lengthier defenders that can help slow that stuff down. I do want to
Hmm.
just agree with you. Like at game one, I would not be shocked if this is like 145 to like 138. And it's just, which like that, it benefits the Wolves. Like if Jokic is going to play 40 minutes in this series and you can just play with that type of pace and that type of attacking on
Yeah.
him, it's gonna benefit the Wolves. I mean, they just have
Yeah.
more levers to pull, especially in the guard play to get that speed. Um, yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be such a weird series, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pace is going to be a huge part of it. The
Yeah.
Wolves have that advantage. If it's an up and down game, if it's a half court execution game, the Wolves probably are going to struggle. What about X factors? Like when you look at the two teams, who could be somebody under the radar? You mentioned Io maybe having a breakout series. A lot of times the home team gets the benefit of role players playing better. Um, but as far as like just who in this series do you think could make an impact that could swing it one way or another?
I mean, for the Wolves, I think it's Jaden. Like if
Mm.
he's able to not foul and play 42 minutes, he's going to have an opportunity to score 30 every night. Like he just is. People leave him still. They don't like
Yeah.
if you're looking at like who typically comes to double ants, it's almost always Jaden's guy because Donte is kind of so feared as a shooter. Like if Jaden can
Hmm.
just play minutes, he has the potential to be like Pippen this series. And also like if he can rebound this series, I think it's going to be huge cuz you look at like who's going to be his matchup on defense, like it's going to be probably Jamal Murray or Jokic maybe. Like Jokic is probably on Rudy, so it's probably Jamal Murray. I mean, Cam Johnson maybe, Tim Hardaway Jr. Like it Jaden's going to have an opportunity to get a ton of offensive rebounds as well if he's crashing and
Hmm.
playing aggressive. So for the Wolves, I think it's Jaden. For Denver, like if they can get Cam Johnson going, which seems like an afterthought, but like if you have Murray, Jokic, and then you have like Gordon hitting his corner threes that he's now adept at, Tim Hardaway Jr. has kind of been a Wolves killer his entire career. Like if Cam
Yeah.
can just get going, he's one of the few guys on the team that actually has like some dribble drive ability that I mean, granted, he hasn't really shown it since Phoenix, but like, I think that's going to pose a lot of issues for the Wolves because then they're going to have to pivot and say, oh, shoot, Jaden, you can't roam. You got to be on Cam, or Ant's going to have to
Hmm.
go over there and slow him down, which is just like calories that I don't know in a potential 6 or 7 game playoff series. I don't know if you want Ant wasting calories on defense. So for both
Right.
teams, it's the wing players.
Yeah, I like Kyle in this. I don't know how much he's gonna play because like he's like the eighth, ninth guy, but I do think when teams double Ant, like there's always that opening at the free throw line, and Kyle is as good as anybody getting there and playmaking. Like he can hit that little shot, he can draw the defender, he can pitch it out, he can dish it down. I don't know again how much he plays, but I do think like his versatility on defense and his playmaking on offense could be huge. The Timberwolves are not favored.
Correct.
I want your prediction. I'm actually shocked at how heavily
Yeah.
it's Nuggets, and I get it, like whatever. But to your point, the Wolves kind of like that. What is your prediction for this series? I won't hold you to it if things change, but like going into it, how do you feel about it? How do you think it's going to play out?
I mean, first, the Nuggets were like minus 400 earlier in the week. Like, that's
Yeah,
insane. Like, you're saying it's like
yeah,
4-1 odds that the Nuggets are going to win this series. Like, I think that's part of,
seems aggressive.
yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I was thinking maybe it'd be like minus 220, minus 280, somewhere in there. The 4-1 is wild. Like, I'm not a gambler, nor can we really gamble in Minnesota. I guess like my series prediction, I do think the Wolves are going to win this first round. I don't think they have enough to pull the magic off for 4 rounds because they're going to be big dogs against the Spurs, big dogs against the OKC Thunder, and then Boston. They're also going to be big underdogs. But I think for 1 round, they can do it. I think they've shown enough of the magic this year to be like, we can do this. And they have kind of
Yeah,
shown that ability to get Denver uneasy. So I do think the Wolves are going to win. I think it'll probably go 7 again, where you're playing game 7 in Denver. And then they probably lose in 5 to the Spurs. But I think they can bottle it for 1 series. I mean, the other thing is if they lose in the first round in 5 or 6 games, like this offseason is going to be like they're going to have to cut ways with a ton of players because obviously it's not
yeah,
working. You're not good in the regular season. You're a first round exit. Like something's wrong. So I think there's going to be a certain level of like
right.
desperation to get past the Nuggets too, just to keep this group together. And I mean, Finch has kind of shown when you have that week off, he puts together a hell of a game plan to come out in the first few games of a series.
I would say that one thing that you mentioned, I don't know that this series should dictate what they do in the offseason. Like, I don't know that keeping guys around, even if you beat the Nuggets, certain guys, like I just think they need to, if their goal is to win a championship, they need to make some changes regardless. Also, what's interesting is last year's run I thought was such a cakewalk into the conference finals that losing this series to me would be like, I think fans would be like, oh my God, 2 conference finals in a row, and then you're out in the first round. But I'm like, this is a harder series than any they played until the Thunder last year. So this is to me a coin toss. And if you win it, awesome. I think that's a huge accomplishment just to win 1 series this year in the West, because the West is just so good. I also don't totally tangent here, but like people talking about the East, oh, we wouldn't be a 6 seed in the East. I'm like,
They'd probably
there's
be
some pretty good teams in the East. If you look at those
they'd
playing
make the Eastern
records,
Conference Finals, but let's be real, they'd probably be a 6 seed.
right, right. That's what I'm saying.
They
The
shouldn't have
playing
been a
teams
6
were like
seed in the West.
the playing teams were like 45 and 37. Like they had better records, and I know, you play different teams and all that, but it's, I don't think, we need to do that. I was happy to see Jaden say like, no, I like playing out West. I like playing LA teams, and he's from the West Coast. But anyway, I don't know. I'm torn, man. If Wolves win, I think it's 7. I could see the Nuggets winning in 5 or 6 too. They're so good. The Wolves, they've built up this equity of, hey, when the playoffs come, we show up in that first round and we're really good in the playoffs. And so I have that hope that they're going to do that again. But they also have the other side of the coin that they're all over the place, man. And you can't make any predictions about this team. You never know.
I mean, absolutely. And I would agree with you, by the way. Like, I think if they beat the Nuggets, they shouldn't sit there and say, like, now we have to keep Julius or,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to pivot off of. Like, I think they need to make changes regardless. I just think, players sometimes think that way of like,
Sure.
we beat this team, we make another deep run, we keep the band back together. This is a team that genuinely really likes each other. Like, I think they're going to be playing with a lot of desperation, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, my thought process on it is more of like, this team has shown in the past that they can turn it on. They've hit those heights this season. Until they get knocked out, I'm just not willing to say they're going to be out in the first round, which
Yeah.
if they get knocked out in the first round, then I think it's, all of us people who are, they can turn it on and off. I think we have to kind of change our expectations and hold the team accountable for it, because that's what they've been saying all season, and they weren't able to do it if they end up losing. So
Yeah.
again, exciting. I'm very excited for what we're recording this Friday, for tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
Which, real quick, I know you have a hard out in 4 minutes, but putting this game behind a paywall is criminal. Like, this is criminal.
Yes, 100%. I will be going out to watch it. I am not gonna. I dropped my Amazon subscription, so
Yeah,
I'm going out to watch it somewhere else. But yeah,
it's
no,
insane.
even the play-in games, I'm like, are you serious? Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? It's so wild.
When I saw that, and we have Prime, like, you know, it's not an issue for me. I'm just thinking of it of like, if I was like 22 years old in college, like, now I don't get to watch this in the dorm. Like,
Yeah.
now I have to go someplace.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's criminal. I hate it. I hate this new modern TV setup they have.
I hate that you have to like go to like 4 different channels to figure it out. Like, you never know. Like, just let's have some consistency. Like, let's have it on TNT and NBC or whatever it is. Like, 2 channels, all the games are on there. But yeah, it's wild. And the biggest bummer for me, tomorrow would have been nice if we could have had like a 75-degree day like we had yesterday, and instead it's going to be like
Yeah.
40 and crappy. And I'm like, just sitting outside watching this game would have been electric. It'll be great regardless. But this was awesome, Andrew. Thank you for your insights, your wisdom. Where can people find you?
Oh gosh, ADukeMN on all socials, ADUKEMN. Post game Wolves and Lynx live shows, Missing Wolves for the Wolves, Missing Lynx for the Lynx. All my written works over on Zone Coverage, and I'm floating around other places, but that's the most. Oh, and Hitting the Hardwood. We have a website now. Go check
Yep.
that out as well.
Yeah, saw that. That's awesome. And post game tomorrow, right? You'll do a post game pod tomorrow after the game 1.
Yep. Post
All
game
right.
live will be tomorrow. I will warn people, games 1 and 2 pod will be starting pretty much on time right after the game ends.
Okay.
Games 3, 4, and 5, I'll be covering it from the Target Center, and playoff media takes forever. So might be an hour after the game. And then game 5, I'm going out to Denver if they have that game 5. So that one will
Awesome.
also likely be a while after the game, but they will happen.
That's awesome. I was going to ask if you were getting any Hitting the Hardwood checks to go out to, or zone coverage checks to go out to Denver. That's awesome. I'm happy for you, man. That'd be great.
Thankfully, game 5 in the first round, they schedule it so far out that I can get PTO still from my day job.
There you go. Awesome. Oh, that's right. You have to work a regular job just like I do. That's great.
I have a regular job like everybody else.
Yeah, that's great. Sweet. Well, thanks a lot, man. This was great. Appreciate you coming on, and it's gonna be a great series. So we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
All right, that's the show for today. Thanks again for listening. Great stuff from Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage and Hitting the Hardwood Podcast Network. Make sure you follow and subscribe to that podcast on YouTube tomorrow so that you can join the conversation after game 1. Hopefully we get a Wolves win. We'll see what happens tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, in Denver. Should be a great series. Again, I can't wait for it. NBA playoffs is another level. It's almost a different game than the regular season, so should be good stuff. Appreciate you listening. Follow for more. We'll continue to put out tons of Wolves content. We'll probably get to the transfer portal at some point, maybe some spring AAU stuff as well. in the next few weeks. And then I do want to tease out, I got an idea to do this from a friend of mine who I play basketball with. We'll do a pickup basketball episode coming up in the near future as well, probably in the next month or so. That should be really fun. So again, thanks all for listening. Have a great weekend. Go Wolves. This has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag.